Hi, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. I want to talk a little bit today about a mental aspect of training that I've used in the past for good results, and that I would suggest to you for any of you who may not be familiar with it. We finally got a break today here in eastern Kansas. That thing up there that's shining at me, people tell me that's the sun. I don't know. I haven't seen it for a few days, so hopefully they're right. When I was a kid, my dad taught me to, like so many fathers and sons, taught me how to throw a baseball and throw a football. And any of you who have ever done that or anything like it, you know that it just takes repetition. You have to do it over and over and over and over again. And you make, 9 mistakes for every right one you do at first. And hopefully you try to increase those odds till you do them pretty well. But there's a limit to how much you can do physically before you start, throwing that elbow or that shoulder out. And so you want to take care of yourself and make sure that you don't do that so you can come back and practice and train the next day. So my dad had me do something that I thought was a little bit strange. And he told me that when I had time, sometimes just sit down and close your eyes and concentrate, or do it while you're laying in bed falling asleep. And imagine, he told me to imagine myself throwing the baseball, going through the wind-up, stepping on the pitcher's rubber, going through the wind-up, checking bases, everything. Looking at it, visualizing that batter, the catcher, the plate, everything. And he said, do it as realistically as you can. Try to hear the crowd. Try to smell the dust. Try to, whatever's going on around in a real game, try to make that a part of your visualization. He says the more realistic you make it, the better it'll go. And imagine yourself pitching. He says, just visualize that. And do it over and over and over. And imagine every pitch being perfect. Pick your spots. Inside of the plate, outside of the plate, inside corner high, outside corner low, whatever. And do it over and over and over again. And he told me the same thing with a football, So I started doing that. I thought it sounded kind of silly, but I did it. And of course, in your imagination, you can make everything perfect. So every one of my pitches was just perfect. It nicked the plate, exactly where I wanted it to. The umpire, never missed a call. Every one of them was a strike. Nobody hit off of it. You know how it is. With a football, I led every receiver just exactly right. Never got nailed. And so I used that process. Amazingly, I got better. And I got better more, I believe, than I would have had I just relied on the physical practice itself. Years later, I did the same thing with my martial arts students and some people that I taught some other things to. And in the martial arts, if you're doing it, if you're doing the real ones, not the pajama dancing that I call out all the time, but if you are doing it hard and you are doing it real, to approach reality, and I hear some people say we train to reality. I will dispute that. You can't train to reality without maiming each other, but you can train toward reality. So you want to train as closely to reality as you can, without killing each other, so that you can come back and train again tomorrow, of course, because what you're wanting to do is to ingrain in your mind those responses to different attack scenarios, so that when one happens, you're not going to go through those levels that I've described in another video about confusion and fear such as that. But it'll be something that your mind has gone through enough times, and then your body has gone through enough times, so that your response is as close to automatic and immediate as you can get it. Well, anyway, if you're doing real martial arts where you're really going at it, you can't do that on a lot of things without there being some real problems. So what I would have my people do, as I was explaining to them, is go through these scenarios, go through these counters, to whatever kind of attack you're working on, and do it over and over and over in your head. And I saw the ones who did it improved quite a bit. And I took it further, and I'd say, when you're out on the street, because we've talked about this a lot of times, if there's a sudden attack, it can come quickly and suddenly and violently, I'd say if you so think about it and go through this mental scenario in your head. If you see somebody walking down the sidewalk towards you, imagine, just assume, convince yourself that they are going to attack you, and so watch as the distance between you closes. Watch how their feet are landing. Watch how their arms are moving. Where are their hands? As you get closer, are they going to be on their left foot or their right foot when you guys meet up? How are you going to be? What's if you're walking on, say, the inside of a sidewalk against buildings? What's going to be to your inside when he gets to you? Is it going to be a brick wall, a plate glass window, an alleyway, a doorway, whatever? If you're working on the street side, what's going to be on your outside when you get over? Think about these things, and every time a step is taken, you should be adjusting what your response will be if all of a sudden he breaks his stride and comes at you. Now, it has never happened to me, and I don't think that it ever happened to any of my students, but I did see the result in controlled class situations between those who did it and those who did not, and their ability to respond to certain situations. Of course, what we would do is, once you get to a certain point, you don't just say, okay, now you go up and come up behind him and put that choke around his neck and then see what you're doing. Well, that's not real, right? And it's never going to happen in life. So as people got a little more advanced, would say, okay, when you see somebody's not watching, get up there and try to choke him out, and or whatever kind of attack, and this results in a greater learning, a depth of learning than simple dry practice. Now, grappling's a little bit different, but grappling is very controlled in many ways, at least the sport type, not real type. If you're going for somebody's on the ground, they're going for your eyes and all that, it gets pretty real in the real world. But if you're working in a gym or something like that, grappling is different. So we're talking more about dynamic, aggressive street attacks. Anyway, I read somewhere, and I didn't know why this worked, but I read somewhere then that there had been studies on this, scientific studies, that and they called it visualization. I know I'd used that term a couple of times already, but they called it visualization. They had done it with athletes, and it turned out they gave some scientific explanation that I don't remember, but it turned out that, guess what? It really works. It's really true. So I suggest this to you. How we stock our supplies, and we stock our food, and we stock our water, and we stock our guns and our ammo, and we practice, and we'll go through a scenario occasionally, or we'll get together with buddies or whatever and say, okay, now what will we do in this situation? And again, this is kind of what I wrote about in the Reversion. Be ready if something happens. Know exactly what you're going to do. Well, anyway, I suggest to people, use the world around you as a big training area. Everything that happens in your day, pretty much, can be used to train your mind to be better at responding in the eventuality that an emergency occurs. It could be an SHTF. It could be could be your car breaks down on the highway. It could be a bridge collapse. It could be a tornado that shuts down some roadway, between you and where you're trying to go. But think about, as you go through your life, whether you're at work, whether you're out to dinner, think about, if such and such happened right now, what would I do? It doesn't take any time at all. Take a minute and say, okay, here's what I need to do. 1, 2, 3. Here's what I need to do next, and next, and next, and next. Do that through the day. Don't wipe yourself out about it, And when you're out to dinner with your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whatever, you go into a restaurant, get used to knowing where the exits are. If somebody came in shooting up the place, what am I going to do? Okay, where are the exits? Where am I sitting? And relative to the exits, is the kitchen close by? Where are the dead end hallways? Am I close to a window? Do I want to make it through a door, or am I going to toss one of those chairs through the window and say, come on baby, let's bail out this way? Think about those things. If you're out across town having dinner, think, okay, if such and such a happened, could be whatever. How do we get home to the kids? What are we going to do first? What are we going to do second? So let your daily life be your training ground. And I wouldn't make a big deal of it if I were you. I wouldn't go to dinner and while you're perusing the menu say, all right baby, where are the exits and what are you going to do, and cover me and I'll cover you. I'd probably get a little bit old, and you might lose a training partner. But so that's what I would suggest. Use your mind. It's the greatest tool you have, and your training ground is unlimited if you just use the world around you and the brain that God gave you. So that's my and to be honest, we used to do this a lot in a certain job that I had for a while, and it works. So let it work for you. And have a good day, and I'll remind you to prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.